Well, National Citizens Service is one of those ideas that clearly emerges from David Cameron and the new government's sort of views, which he expressed certainly when the Conservatives were in opposition about broken Britain and about trying to recast society to make it sort of better. And I think that was probably its original route, though it's certainly now an element in the so-called big society. So I think in launching a policy of this kind, it's sending a signal out about how the government wants not-for-profit organisations, third sector bodies, as it were, to work with young people in order to socialise them, to give them opportunities, and generally to fill in things that perhaps schools can't normally do. And clearly there is a risk with any scheme of this kind that the kind of children of parents who would otherwise push their children on will be most likely to take up all the places, and that the groups which I suspect the Prime Minister is hoping will pick it up will not do. So that will all depend upon how far the third sector organisations that run the scheme, as it were, are able to access young people from more deprived backgrounds in order to encourage them to take part. I mean, there are summer, lots of councils run summer activities for young people. It's not as if this is an entirely new idea, but clearly with the government putting its seal of approval on it, they'll want to make sure that it isn't just a way of having a sort of something that Scouts would otherwise do or whatever it is. I mean, it's got to be something that targets the programme much more precisely at young people who otherwise are left behind by all other initiatives. I mean, the question of whether or not there will be enough money is not so important this year when it's a tiny scheme relative to the total numbers of young people who might eventually be involved. But certainly by the time, and if it covered all young people in the summer, it would be very, very expensive on the costings that we've seen for this year. So I think it'll be okay in the short term, even at a time of resource constraint, the government will move money from other programmes. But in the longer term, then I think it will be very likely to be very expensive on these kind of costings. I think it would be hard to sustain it if there's a very large uptake amongst all young people, or certainly those at whom it's targeted, if it became universal. I mean, I think it's for a small number, it's clearly financeable this year and next, but in the future, at a time when public spending is going to be heavily constrained, it's hard to see how all that money would, certainly if the cost per unit stays at the kind of figures that it's envisaged to be this year. I mean, there's clearly an appetite among young people to do various kind of summer schemes. As I say, local authorities run quite a lot of schemes for young people in the summer. Young people join all sorts of other organisations. I mean, at the scale it's going to be this year and next, I think it probably will, it's hard to imagine that these numbers are not going to be capable of being found. But whether it can ever be made universal, and particularly whether it can be made to work for the young people who have been left out in the past, and at whom I suspect the government really wants to aim this kind of programme. In a sense, the very people the government wants to get to will be the hardest to reach, and that will be the real challenge for this programme.